Welcome to More Than a Conversation, the podcast where we meet and have discussions with some of the most interesting people and innovative leaders in their fields from all walks of life. We will be discussing everything from politics to theology to religion to philosophy to life. Every once in a while, I may just be on here talking about whatever's in the news and whatever I think will be of interest to you. This is your host, Patrick Conley, and I hope that today will be more than a conversation for you.
Do I want some of that?
Yeah.
I mean, I do, but I don't feel like waiting for it to be made, so.
Do you want to share this?
It'll be hard to share it across the desk.
Yeah.
So last episode, it was, what was it last time? Like sweet tea and sausage balls? And this time it's, what is that? Is that hot chocolate? Or is it coffee with like hot chocolate with a peppermint stick? If you've not figured it out already, I am joined today by none other than my beautiful wife. And right now she is enjoying hot chocolate and she might say hello. I don't know. Are you ready to get this thing going?
Yeah. That was awkward. So weird.
We need cameras in here. Then everybody would be able to see that the moments of silence are actually you enjoying your hot chocolate, but which I didn't get any. So busy day for us today. Busy day for everyone. It is Thanksgiving, and if I get the editing done, hopefully this episode will hit tomorrow. So it'll be like a Black Friday special episode of More Than a Conversation. This year, though, I guess we didn't really do the Black Friday thing, or at least not the Black Friday Thursday thing. We did make a purchase, got our perfect Christmas tree, and it's perfect because Reagan said it was perfect, and McKinley agreed. Yeah, and so because they agreed that we had the perfect tree, then that means it's the perfect tree. So we brought that back. But other than that, I don't know. I wasn't feeling the whole Black Friday thing this year. Of course, I don't think I ever really feel it, but it's just one of those things where it was really cool just to have some time to hang out and enjoy the family. And surprisingly, the roads were kind of clear tonight, though. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
Yeah, they were parked in Walmart parking.
True. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that for the most part, I think like with the whole Black Friday thing, it's almost like people get so caught up in it, and so that becomes the thought. Like tonight, for example, we're coming back from getting the tree, and like I wanted to get ice cream, so I tell Heather, I'm like, hey, you want to get some ICECREAM? Got to make sure I spell it right. Yeah, because if it goes out into the podcast, into the ether, and it's not spelled right. No, but and then I guess the little place that sold ice cream or whatever, it's like a little fast food place. They sell like a frozen custard where it was closed. And I was actually happy that they were closed. As much as because it didn't really matter. It wasn't like it was a life-changing, although...
And the kids didn't know, so they weren't disappointed.
Which is why that's where the spelling comes in for everyone. You parents out there know all about that one, though, for sure.
But Reagan's catching on quick.
Reagan is catching on quick.
She will call you out in a hot minute.
Reagan will absolutely call you out quickly when she starts catching stuff. I guess that's one of those things. We have to enjoy it while we can, the whole spelling thing. But yeah, I mean, just going out and actually seeing, honestly, I was glad that business had shut down so people could enjoy time with their families. And honestly, guys, pro tip for everybody out there, if you have to have the deal, for the most part, I think you can get the same stuff online. Even the doorbusters now. Like I'm seeing, there's websites that have doorbusters, and I'm like, you guys don't even have a door, but you've got the doorbusters. So I mean, obviously, if you want to get the deal for sure. But don't sacrifice time with your family and your friends and just all that stuff. By the way, though, I want to give you a shout out in front of everybody. again, this year, Thanksgiving meal was incredible. The turkey was incredible. And all the other trimmings and the desserts. And you're doing like homemade candy now. And of course your cranberry pies that everybody's dying over these days. But the candy, man, that was a new thing. I felt like we got a little Laura Ingalls Wilder world going on there.
The girls liked it.
What made you decide that you're going to make candy this year?
I think I'm just trying to get traditions for the girls. They help me stir it a little bit. They enjoy seeing, something in a pot and then it being made, from something else. Whether it's cake or cookies or whatever it is. They like to tell other people. They like for other people to enjoy it and to tell them or to make sure that they know that they helped. So it's cool.
Absolutely. Trying to get some stuff to pass on, some stuff they can talk about later. That's absolutely great. I know it's weird because it's like you're trying to you want to create these memories. I think the other day you posted about it. Maybe you sent me an article. I don't know. Sometimes you'll tag me and stuff, but it was an article that was talking about how that like children who you create memories, I guess, like have events, not just buy things.
Yes.
End up being happier children. Is that what was that?
More intelligent, I think.
Happier and more intelligent.
Yeah, and it's funny that we're even having this conversation because I think it ties back into even the Black Friday shopping, because when I did go, it would be for the kids or, to get whatever. And not saying that I wouldn't go. I just hate cutting into my Thanksgiving with my family. I don't mind shopping on Friday, but that Thanksgiving time is so, I don't know, to me it's magical to have everybody together with no schedules and nobody's having to leave. We've always been blessed with jobs that, we all took off on Thanksgiving, so it's been, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really definitely cool. It's one of those moments that's like it's really about being together more so than a lot of other events.
Well, even Christmas sometimes because you get together, but then it's really about the gifts. But I was saying it goes back to like even that article and the way we've been trying to parent, which we're still learning, but giving them experiences over things, not going out to buy the doll that they wanted, but hey, let's make a doll, or let's sit down and draw a picture. And I'm noticing that it and for me it's not that it's hard, it's just different. This year I'm not buying ornaments. I'm gonna let the girls make the ornaments and they're super excited. And there's the OCD side of me that's like, oh my goodness, what is this going to be? But it's going to be magical because it's theirs and they're going to be super proud. And they've already, drew circles and we're going to cut them out. We're going to put them up. And I don't know. It's special because it's them.
But everybody that knows you knows how difficult that is to just have this hand. And look, before you're out there, you're listening like, oh, the stuff my kids make is the most beautiful stuff ever. If you're that parent, then great, grand, wonderful. The things my kids make are special to me, but they're not always beautiful. And so like they're beautiful in their own way, but they're not, they're obviously not symmetrical. They're not all those things. And obviously, you've got that. It doesn't
matter.
Yeah, and it has to not matter. And you've got that decorating thing going on. So that's funny that's going to be the tree. The whole concept of making memories, I think, has been something that we're trying to learn.
We're actually putting it into practice this Christmas.
Yeah, trying to. Yeah, absolutely. Trying to, do a little family trip as opposed to, just spending money on stuff. But I feel like, honestly, and maybe Thanksgiving, maybe this is a good time to have that conversation because we're heading into the holiday season. But like, there's so much pressure put on parents. And I don't know how much pressure you feel as a mom. And I know you have different pressures, so like I'm not minimizing the pressures that are on you. In your case, you're a stay-at-home mom, so like you have obviously the pressures of that. And then honestly, one of these days we need to do a podcast about the whole mom shaming thing, and maybe that can be something you launch a podcast you can talk about. But the whole stay-at-home mom versus the working mom, and just we're so much. The world we live in is so much into camps, and whatever I'm doing, I have to point out all the positives and share the articles and blah, 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 blah. But all that aside, the thing is, I think you've got your pressures, of trying to do the mom stuff, and like, people looking at your kids, and honestly, with Reagan this year starting in preschool, it's been like I can see it, I can sense it, I can feel it, like that parents have this thing, but at the end of the day, for me, I feel this pressure, when the holiday season comes around. And even as I'm trying to teach people the opposite, even as a pastor, I probably felt it more so when I was not a full-time pastor. Well, I don't know that you're ever not a full-time when you're pastoring, but when I was bivocational, I had other vocations going. As far as career-wise, this pressure to like buy the stuff. Mm-hmm. Because somehow if you don't have the stuff for your kids, for your wife, for your household, then it's like you're not as good of a parent.
Yeah, and I think obviously that's been pushed on us through advertising and society and whatever the norm is. But I think I was taught probably my biggest lesson last year when we were like, we're going to go small, we're going to not buy a lot. And I think Reagan had I was counting the gifts because we had, we would video them as they opened each gift, and Reagan had 8. So I just had to randomly, all McKinley wanted was a Woody, literally all she wanted. And so I made sure she had 8 though. I think I got Play-Doh and blocks and just stuff. Literally, I remember going in the store thinking, don't really know what she wants, but as long as she has a gift, because Reagan had 8 things that she wanted, but McKinley was still too little. So I was going to make sure that she had those. And you remember, we had a whole conversation. I took toys back. She opened the Woody, and then she was done. She would not even open the package of dolls or Play-Doh or anything else. She had her Woody, and she was fine. So I could have saved $200. And it made me feel like I had told my kids or created this narrative in my kids' head that you have to have this to be happy, or not, or just you're gonna get this even though you never asked for it and you didn't want it. And it did my heart good just to see her happy with that one thing. And to this day, if she has her Woody, she's fine.
Yeah, and I think that's, $200. You talk about $200, 2-year-old. Well, that becomes $2,000 for parents of teens, and people spending on their spouse and whatever. But at the end of the day, if you're out there listening and you're a guy and you've got, you're trying to take care of your bills, you're trying to take care of paying stuff, you're trying to just keep life afloat. Don't compare yourself as a husband, as a boyfriend, and wives don't compare yourself as a wife, as a girlfriend, whatever, based on if you're spending X amount of money on your significant other in comparison to other people. Because at the end of the day, you aren't them, they aren't you. You aren't walking out the same journey. Then you don't know what kind of debt they're in. You don't know what kind of issues they're struggling with. And I feel like we get so caught up in that. We get so caught up in, I think probably with kids, it probably is even worse, because now you've got the electronics, you've got the clothes, you've got this device, that device, you've got this thing, that thing, and you're just trying to keep up because you don't want your kid to feel left behind. And so now we get caught up in this world, and we're trying to teach our kids to not be materialistic, but at the same time,
meanwhile we're pushing it on them.
Yeah, and But I mean, okay, here's the question though. And I guess we got the podcast, so we're supposed to be giving the answers. But here's the question. How do I teach my child to not be materialistic? And at the same time, send them to a world where they get mocked for not having what other kids have?
Again, we do not have the answers. I don't know. That's a hard one.
We'll Google it, and then I'll go back and edit the answer in.
We'll add it in.
Add it in later before I put this out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I've got an answer to that at all. I mean, because at the end of the day, I think about it. I can't imagine. I can sit here and have conversations with, well, Reagan's going to be going into school next year. I can have conversations with her, but is she really going to understand when somebody else has and she doesn't have? And that kind of becomes a big part of the struggle. I want her to know that she doesn't have to have stuff. But in trying to educate her about not having to have stuff, there's going to be this moment where she's going to be around other kids that haven't been educated like that.
Yeah. And I think you just, instill so much in her that that's not what it's about. That it just is there. The seed is planted. She has to do with it what she will.
So I'm going to leave that up to you. Yeah. That's going to be, that's part of the mom package.
Yeah.
Is you deal with that. When she comes in upset because she didn't have what they had. And again, I don't know. I mean, honestly, the easy thing is to just be like, all right, we'll just get her what the other people have. But what happens eventually for everybody, I mean, for anybody in my tax bracket, that becomes, you've run out,
It becomes impossible.
Yeah, that becomes impossible. That being said, I think, I don't know, I don't even know how we got on that, just talking about that. But Thanksgiving season or Christmas season, Thanksgiving's behind us now. Christmas season, don't get wrapped up in the buying the stuff. Make the memory. At the end of the day, Reagan and McKinley are going to have more to talk about later, not because of the stuff we bought them, but this year, for example, we went to Pigeon Forge for a couple of days, I think, and we went to Cage Cove with them the day that we were out there eating the crackers, having a little picnic, and the bear comes out. I think we saw 4 or 5 bear that day. That's something that they can talk about. Daddy, you remember when we saw the bear? Or do you remember when we did whatever?
Hotel.
Yeah, the big adventure when we stayed in the hotel. That making those memories, whether it's a road trip, whether it's whatever.
Yeah, Reagan loves road trips. For those of you that don't know, she has an absolute fascination with hotels. She thinks it's the coolest thing that we get a card, we can open a door and stay all night, and she thinks that all hotels bring like pizza, because the pizza man, because we'll a lot of times order like pizza off Daddy's app, and she thinks that every time you stay at a hotel you get pizza in the room. So that's like the huge thing for her.
and so yeah, absolutely, those memories, she
loves that.
Yeah, you can't, I think toys break, stuff goes obsolete, all that stuff doesn't matter. And I don't know how ready I am to be one of those minimalist people.
I'm trying.
But I get it. Like,
I totally get it. Well, you're happier. There's so many studies that show kids with like less toys, kids need like blocks and a couple dolls or a doll or whatever, and it makes them appreciative for the things that they do get. Just, honestly, and you've been in there with me, but we've had to go clean out the playroom before, and just telling Reagan, if you're not going to clean these toys up, then I'm going to give them to somebody that will appreciate them enough to put them in their place. And I talked to her about stewardship, and I said, if you don't have it cleaned up by this time, and they're probably going to think I'm terrible, but I was like, you have to clean it up because, these toys were given to you and you've got them straight all over the floor and some of them were getting broke. And she didn't. And so we bagged them up and we took them to the Goodwill. And she cried for a minute, and I said, no, you weren't a good steward of what, mommy and daddy or whoever or God allowed you to, to take care of. So we're going to take it. And, she was like, well, I didn't like this, doll anyway, or whatever. She was trying to, justify it in her head. And it was all stuff that she needed. She already had so many. But I went in there a couple weeks ago, and I felt like icky about how much stuff that the kids had. It's like, I don't want my kids to, obviously everybody wants their kids to have the things that they want, but I don't want my kids to have so much stuff that literally, and this happened, 3-4 bags, trash bags full, goes to the Goodwill, and they don't even miss it. Nobody asked. So why in the world was that stuff in my care? Like, when there's kids that don't have. And I explained that to her. And then, of course, when she thought that there was other kids that were going to get to play with these toys, she's like, well, maybe they'll clean them up, She was happy about that. Of course, Kinley could care less. Kinley wants what she wants in the moment, and that's about it. But I don't know. Even now, I think we could probably do another purge, but I try to do it just a few times, every so often to get what they need.
Yeah, I wonder how easy life would be, if you just, or how just, if you took away the variety and all the extra stuff that we have, and apparently,
what kind of people we would be.
I don't know. Yeah, and that's, if we could start minimalizing. I could think of a closet or two. We could start that.
How about that?
All right, I want to move on before we get into it.
That's true though. I've done that with my clothes, not as much as I should. I will shout that out. Not as much as I should.
Thanksgiving. So there's probably people listening today who didn't have a good Thanksgiving. I had a good Thanksgiving.
I did.
I think a lot of people had great Thanksgivings. But there's people out there who, we could go through all of it. There's people that have lost someone, and that's difficult. And if that's you, we're sorry. We're so sorry for your loss. And to say that time heals all things or some things, there'll always be a vacuum. There'll always be a void. It just becomes a new normal. But we're praying for you during this time if that's you. But there's also people that today had blow-ups with their family. Had fallouts. There's people today that sat in a room full of biologically connected strangers, and in that moment while they're sitting there, today there's people that recognized, I don't know if I can do another holiday with these people. I don't know if I can do another holiday with this family, or I don't know if I want to subject myself to this anymore. So I know that's a hard thing. I know that's a difficult thing. And thankfully, I'm glad that we're not in that situation where I feel like we're forced into anything like that. But there's a lot of people out there that are. There's a lot of people out there that are in that place. And so I don't even know. I'm just trying to give some encouragement to them. I put a post out the other day about the idea of toxicity in the holidays, and how you don't have to be bound to go to everywhere just because you're related to people and put yourself in bad situations, or you don't have to feel like you don't have to respond to every invitation just because you're connected if it's bad for you. And there's people that probably are like, well, I wish my family would, and I didn't think I was toxic, and now I've been cut off. And I get that, and I know that's a difficult thing, but I don't know. What do you say to people just regarding that during this time with family and all those things? What's your take on that?
I think that's a hard one. Sometimes I think people will, for lack of better words, because it's almost 11 o'clock, put up with whatever because they are family, and that's just, the saying, well, that's just the way they are, or whatever. I know for me, and this is how I navigate, as an adult, I understand, and I have, I know the way. Everybody's got crazy people in their family, whatever. And if my family is listening to this, whatever.
Well, isn't the thing, if you don't have anybody crazy in your family, then you're the crazy one? Yeah.
But so I can deal with a level of, whatever. I think where my line is probably my kids, which my kids are little, so they're not going to pick up on things. They're not going to, but if there's anything in the environment that's unhealthy for my kids, like if there's a lot of yelling, if there's just a constant negative, I'm just not going to have my kids around it, even though like I could, not that it's healthy for me to be around it, but because you're a family, you know, I'm going to compartmentalize and just understand that that's the way you are, and I'm just going to, I guess, move on. But now that I have kids, I have to think about the things that they will internalize based on our environment, and I've tried to do that as a parent. I won't allow my kids to be in certain situations, in certain places, and it's no disrespect to anybody. It's just, these are my children, and when I say my children, they're God's kids, and He has entrusted me to take care of them to the very, very, very best of my ability. And I am to steward their environments. I am to steward, you know, the way that they are treated by other people. And I just, I don't know. That's where I would say as an adult, that's where my line is.
And so, yeah, I mean, drawing that line, I think, can probably be a hard thing. You know, there are people who have been molested by somebody in their family.
Sure.
There are people that have been physically abused, verbally abused, have been psychologically manipulated. There's people that have been put through like some terrible things that have never been made right. But because the rest of the family doesn't know, they're being forced to go back into that situation. They're being forced to show up. So I think it's obviously one of those things where if it's continuing, if you're going to continue to put yourself in a bad situation, I don't know that you have an obligation to do it. I don't think everybody has to draw that line, but I guess for me, I just want people to know that you don't have to feel guilty over that. Like if you're a person who goes, hey man, I've been treated this way, I've been done like this by these people, or even, I don't know, and so I want to be so careful because I don't want somebody to take it the wrong way, and I don't want somebody whose family doesn't come around to feel like that I'm just saying that, you know, don't go around your family or anything like that. But at the end of the day, if you're going around people who are just, if they're absolutely not good for you, if every time you go, like, why would you want to spend your holiday? You already work all the time. You already have this stress of life. You've already got bills. You're already trying to raise your kids. And then when it comes time for your holiday, you're just going to put yourself in an even more stressful situation. Or instead of relaxing, you're going to put yourself in a place where you're going to have to deal with fussing and fighting, or shade being thrown, or hurts being brought up, or just being mistreated simply because you have a biological connection. I just don't see that as a healthy way to live life. And I don't see it as a way that is necessary for people to do. I think it's unfair for us to look at people and tell them that you have to subject yourself to that again and again and again and again. At the end of the day, if you've got a family, you know, you've got your own little family unit. Maybe you've got, you know, some children. Maybe, you know, you and your spouse start a new tradition. You know, I was just talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about how that they were going to start a new tradition. They and their family were going to go away for Thanksgiving. And, you know, they didn't come out and say it, but it was kind of implied that they wanted to start their new tradition because the old tradition wasn't working out so well. But I think you have the freedom to do that. You have to, kind of like you just talked about with the kids, you have to make decisions, and it's not just the kids, it's for your own well-being as well.
Sure.
And I think, you know, I don't know, there's some things that you can't fix, there's some things you can't confront. But on the other side of that, we have to understand that family is where we learn how to deal with conflict.
Sure.
Family is where we learn how to deal with difficult people. I'm not talking about, well, I have a cousin who kind of has an attitude, or somebody doesn't like my pasta salad that I make every year or whatever, or I've got an uncle that always talks trash. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about legitimate issues, legitimate things. You know, there's families that have that way. You know what I mean? And there's people that it's almost like they thrive on creating that drama. And I'm kind of at the place now where if I don't have to have the drama, I'm good. I'll do something else. I'll talk to somebody else. I'll deal with something else. I just don't. I guess maybe our calling already. We already get to deal with enough drama. We get to be in the middle of enough stuff. So I'm certainly not looking for it in my personal life. Anything else you want to throw in on that? Or, by the way, I feel like I should say something while we're recording, that if anyone hears any strange noises in the background, no, there are not. I don't think there's any shooting going on, but there's. I think there was like a Bee's Life playing or something, and so the kids had fallen asleep or were falling asleep, and after Thanksgiving Day and candy and grandparents and all that stuff, they were jacked up. So, yeah. Anyway, no, we're not in the middle of an actual trial with a bee and a plane crash with a bee and all those other things, near plane crash. Spoiler alert, if you've not seen A Bee's Life, never mind. Anyway, so Christmas is coming. I don't know, guys, put those rules into practice going into Christmas. Avoid the toxicity. Avoid the materialism. You don't have to you don't have to let yourself be put in that prison. There's no need for it. Anyway, I don't know that we have anything else that we need to talk about, anything else we need to cover.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, guys. Hope it was a great one for you. One thing I will throw out there, if you are anywhere near the Charlotte region, and I know we've got listeners all over the place, but if you're anywhere near the Charlotte region and you have interest in any of the topics of mental health, you need to get a ticket to our Mental Health and Christians Conference that is coming up on March the 21st at Garden Sanctuary. It's going to be featuring Dr. Caroline Leaf. Now, I'm going to have to tell you, Dr. Caroline Leaf was someone that I had no idea about, and then Heather was like, "You've got to check out this Dr. Caroline Leaf." And I was like, it's probably some girl thing. That's what I thought. I was like, I don't know. It's probably girl wash your face repackaged or something. No. So I'm like, I wasn't really into it. And then, so I hear her listening to podcasts, and I'm like, okay, I'm picking up a few things, and this lady's talking about stuff that's really clicking. I'm like, man, that's really good. I'm like, who is that? And you're like, that's that Dr. Caroline Leaf. So tell us a little bit about Dr. Caroline Leaf and what's coming up at the conference.
Oh, she is amazing. She just really ties all of her scientific research back to scripture, which I love. She will give you just a medical fact, because that is her,
and she's
her background.
Neuroscientist. I mean, yes. She's like top of the line credentials.
Yes, and she takes it back to scripture every single time. I think I'm on chapter 4 in her book right now. It is amazing. Just talking about how, we're supposed to take our thoughts captive, and we are wired for love. We are wired for good thoughts. That's why when we're in distress or when we have that negativity, it affects us not only mentally but physically. We have a physical reaction to it, and it's amazing. You have to be there. You
need to be there. So get your tickets. You can get them at www.gardensanctuary.org. Gardensanctuary.org. You can get your tickets there. They are on early bird pricing right now. Early bird pricing. So you're going to want to get registered while they're on early bird pricing. Anyway, that's all we've got. Hope you have a great Black Friday. Hope Thanksgiving was awesome. Listen to this while you're eating your leftover turkey or whatever. Hey, by the way, make sure that you're sharing the podcast, if you will. Share it on your social media streams. Give us those 5-star ratings, all that good stuff. That really helps us out a lot if you do it. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thanks again for being part of More Than a Conversation today. If you'd like more content like this, check out my blog at www.pastorconley.com. That's PastorConley.com. Again, that's PastorConley.com. I'd also love to see you join us in worship at Garden Sanctuary. If you're ever in Rock Hill, South Carolina, or the greater Charlotte area, we'd love to have you stop by and worship with us. Check us out at www.gardensanctuary.org. That's gardensanctuary.org. Until next time, I hope this has been more than a conversation.